of course, one of, if not the most anticipated film coming out in the next couple of months is Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, you've got Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine. You've got Ryan Reynolds in here as Deadpool. They are entering the MCU. And for a very long time, this was only titled to us as Deadpool 3. Before we got the title of Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of that first epic teaser, really looking forward to seeing what the next teaser or the next full trailer is going to bring us from this movie. We only had Deadpool 3 before we had Deadpool and Wolverine. And now that we have Deadpool and Wolverine, it looks like we can officially completely retire ever calling this Deadpool 3, because according to Shawn Levy, that would be incorrect. This is not Deadpool 3. Here's what he had to say. This comes to us from Deadline. Says, the filmmaker explained in a recent interview why the movie, which also stars Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine, is not Deadpool 3, despite being the third Deadpool movie. As far as crafting the Deadpool and Wolverine story, I just felt privileged every day because you're talking about two massive movie stars in their most iconic roles, Levy told Screen Rant during CinemaCon. It also gave me an opportunity. It's the third Deadpool movie, but it's not Deadpool 3. It's a different thing that's very much Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's not trying to copycat anything from the first two movies. They were awesome, but this is a two-hander character adventure. And that comes to us from Deadline. All right, so what is Shawn Levy saying here? I think there's two ways to look at what Shawn Levy is saying here. Let's look at the first one. This is an entirely new Deadpool. Maybe not entirely new, but this Deadpool is not going to be attached to the first two movies. Much like how they were going to do Daredevil, where it was still Charlie Cox, it was still Vincent D'Onofrio in the MCU, but it wasn't connected and it wasn't the characters from the Netflix show. Is that what's happening here with Deadpool 3? I mean, as we know, he's not going to be a Fox character anymore. By the way, once again, didn't change the title on the topic. That's going to happen throughout the entire thing. Just want to let you know. Yeah. But we saw that happen with Daredevil. Are we going to see this happen with Deadpool as well, where it's still Ryan Reynolds, it's still Hugh Jackman, it's still the ensemble cast of Deadpool that we saw in the past, but they're just not going to acknowledge anything from the first two films. They're fresh in the MCU, no connections whatsoever. I don't think that's the case. I saw a couple people online kind of speculating and theorizing that might be the case. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that this is that drastic of a story, really, because we already saw in the first teaser, Vanessa's there, Wade and her are broken up. Now, is that going to ignore Deadpool 2? I mean, in Deadpool 2, in the beginning of the movie, Vanessa dies. In the post-credit scenes, Deadpool takes that time machine clock thing from Cable, takes that device from Cable, goes through the multiverse, saves Vanessa. I always thought that would be how they were going to bring Deadpool into the MCU, how the TVA was going to come and find Deadpool because he messed with time that way. Maybe they're not doing that. Maybe they're just going to say, you know what, this is just a different Deadpool that acts the exact same as the old Deadpool, but no connection to the old Deadpool. Personally, I don't think they're going to go that route. I do think that this will still feel connected to Deadpool 1 and 2. I feel like this will still feel like the same characters. I'm sure there'll be references or something that will allude to the past films. But what I do think this is saying is it's kind of similar to looking at an Avengers movie as like Captain America 3 or like Iron Man 2. Like, yes, those characters are in it, but they're not really in their franchise film anymore. They're still in the universe, but it's not their solo movies, so it doesn't count as a sequel to those movies, even though you might allude back to some things that happened in their movies with those movies. I feel like that's kind of what they're saying with Deadpool I almost called it Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine here. I think that they're saying that this is a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. This is an ensemble movie. This is basically like a little team-up adventure movie. This is not a solo Deadpool movie. This is not going to be fully his story. This is going to be a buddy story with him and Wolverine. And in that sense, also the fact that it's not a Fox movie technically. This is now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a Marvel movie. It's different from where it was in the past. And I feel like that's kind of what Shawn Levy is trying to say here is it's not going to feel like the conclusion to a trilogy. It's not going to feel like it wraps up all these storylines in the ways that you feel like 1 and 2 might have been setting it up to wrap up in that way. It's going to be its own story. It's going to be its own thing that is not going to be dependent on Deadpool 1 and 2. And honestly, I'm cool with that. I'm totally excited for this movie regardless. I'm so excited to see Deadpool and Wolverine come into the MCU. I'm so excited to see what they've cooked up with this thing. I mean, at CinemaCon, they said they could only show 9 minutes of footage that weren't spoiler heavy, so whether or not that was just some big talk and this movie has very little spoilers in it, maybe it's a complete bore, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But as far as this news goes, Deadpool and Wolverine not being Deadpool 3, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't even think it's something to pay attention to. It's going to be an awesome movie. Either way, I believe in it. Well, thank you very much for checking out this clip from our live show that we do every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time called Zach Milne Talks Live. If you like talking movies, if you like talking movie news, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave? We do that on this channel all the time. But if you still need some time before you fully commit, you can check out the full video this clip is from right here, and you can check out another video over here. The subscribe button's right here.